There's a specific kind of person, and if you found this video, there's a real chance it's you, who says sorry before they've even finished a sentence, who apologizes for taking up space in a conversation, for asking a question they had every right to ask, for existing in a way that might, possibly, theoretically, inconvenience someone else. And the strange part isn't the apology itself. It's that it feels completely involuntary, like a reflex, like breathing. They're not performing humility. They're genuinely, deeply convinced that their presence requires an apology. This isn't a quirk, and it's not politeness. It's something that was built into them, slowly, over a very long time. And once you understand what it actually is, you can't unsee it. Picture this. Someone bumps into you on the street. Their shoulder hits yours, their bag clips your arm. And before they can react, before they've even registered what happened, you say sorry. Not them, you. You apologize for being bumped into. Or you send an email to someone, a completely reasonable, necessary email, and you spend 10 minutes rewriting the opening because you don't want to come across as demanding. So you add, "Sorry to bother you. I know you're busy. This is probably a silly question, but..." And then you send it and feel relief, not because the email was good, but because you softened yourself enough that maybe, hopefully, they won't be annoyed that you needed something. Or someone asks your opinion, and instead of giving it, you say, "I'm not sure. I might be wrong, but maybe," and then trail off into something so hedged and qualified that it barely counts as an answer at all. Not because you don't have thoughts. You have too many thoughts, but voicing them fully feels dangerous in a way you can't quite explain. If any of that felt specific, stay with me. Because what's actually happening underneath all of those apologies is not what most people think. The common explanation for over-apologizing is low self-esteem. And that's true as far as it goes, but it doesn't go far enough, because the apology isn't really about the moment it appears in. It's about something much older. Psychologists who study attachment and early relational patterns have found something consistent in people who compulsively apologize. Almost always, somewhere in their history, there was an environment where the expression of their needs, their emotions, their presence itself created tension. Maybe it was a parent who went cold when they cried. Maybe it was a household where anger was unpredictable and the safest strategy was to make yourself as frictionless as possible. Maybe it was subtler than that, a quiet message, never stated outright, that being too much, too loud, too needy, too opinionated was the thing that made love go away. And so the child learned, not consciously, not in words, but deep in the body, in the nervous system. They learned that the way to stay safe inside a relationship was to preemptively reduce the amount of space they occupied, to apologize before anyone could get annoyed, to soften every edge of themselves before presenting it to the world. The apology, in that sense, isn't a response to a mistake. It's a shield. It's the person saying, "Before you decide I'm too much, I want you to know that I already know. I'm already sorry. Please don't leave." Here's what makes this so quietly devastating. The apology is designed to manage other people's emotions, and it usually works. When you preemptively apologize, people rarely get angry. They reassure you. They say, "No, you're fine, don't worry." And for a moment, you feel the relief of that. The tension drops. You're still here, still wanted, still okay. But what's also happening is this. Every time the apology works, it gets reinforced. The nervous system files it away. Apologizing keeps people close. Apologizing prevents conflict. Apologizing is how you earn the right to take up space. And the habit becomes so automatic, so ingrained, that it stops feeling like a strategy and starts feeling like just the kind of person you are. The problem is that it never actually resolves the underlying belief, because the belief isn't, "I made a mistake." The belief is, "I am a mistake," or at least something close to that. Something that sounds more like, "I am inherently too much and not enough simultaneously." And the only solution is to keep shrinking until I find the exact size that no one finds objectionable. You can see how that's exhausting. You can see how someone living inside that belief might look completely fine from the outside, apologetic, and warm and easy to be around, while on the inside, they're running a constant calculation. Am I taking up too much space? Have I said something wrong? Do they seem annoyed? Is this my fault? Should I say sorry just in case? There's a particular type of relationship that people who over-apologize tend to end up in, and it's worth naming because their willingness to smooth over conflict, to absorb blame, to make themselves smaller, makes them extraordinarily easy to take advantage of. Not always deliberately. Sometimes the other person doesn't even realize it's happening. But when someone is always apologizing, always accommodating, always adjusting themselves around your moods, it's very easy to unconsciously let them carry more than their share. And this creates a strange dynamic. The over-apologizer often ends up feeling deeply unseen in their closest relationships because the version of themselves that people know is the softened version. The apologetic version, the version that preemptively erases its own edges. And they can't quite explain why they feel lonely in rooms full of people who love them. But it's because no one has ever fully met them. They've never let anyone. There's a question underneath all of this that most people who apologize too much have never been asked, or if they were asked, they didn't have an answer for it. And the question is, what would happen if you stopped apologizing for yourself? Not for actual mistakes, those matter, but for your opinions, your needs, your presence. What do you imagine would happen? Most people, when they sit with that question honestly, will tell you something that sounds rational on the surface, but reveals everything underneath. They'll say something like, people would think I was arrogant, or I'd come across as aggressive, or they'd get annoyed. And you press a little and you ask, then what? And eventually, underneath all the layers, you get to the real answer. Then they'd leave. That's the belief that's running the whole show. Not, I apologize because I'm polite, but I apologize because I'm terrified that without the apology, without the constant softening, there's nothing in me that's worth staying for. Now here's the part that tends to surprise people. The constant apologizing over time doesn't actually make you feel more secure. It does the opposite. Because every time you apologize for something that didn't require an apology, you send a signal. Not to the other person, to yourself. You tell yourself, again, that you needed to apologize, that your presence was something that required managing, that you were, in that moment, a burden to be mitigated rather than a person to be encountered. And slowly, through 1,000 tiny repetitions, the belief that you were trying to protect yourself from becomes the very thing you're reinforcing. The apology doesn't relieve the shame, it feeds it. This is the part worth sitting with for a moment, because it tends to reframe everything. The over-apologizer isn't someone who lacks confidence and just needs to be told they're great. They're someone whose coping mechanism has quietly become the source of the problem. The very thing they learned to do to stay safe is the thing keeping them stuck. What actually shifts this is not, as it turns out, being told to apologize less. Anyone who has been told to stop saying sorry so much knows how useless that advice is. You hear it, you nod, and then 3 minutes later you apologize for apologizing too much. Because the instruction to stop misses the point entirely. The apology isn't a habit you chose. It's a response to a belief you didn't choose either. What tends to move things, slowly, uncomfortably, is learning to sit in the discomfort of not apologizing and not having the world end. It's tiny experiments. Sending the email without the sorry to bother you. Stating an opinion without the I might be wrong hedge. Letting a silence be a silence instead of rushing to fill it with reassurance that you know you're probably wrong. And the first few times you do it, it feels genuinely dangerous. Your heart rate goes up. You want to immediately send a follow-up softening everything you just said. Because the nervous system that learned, as a child, that taking up space was risky, doesn't instantly update when you make a new choice as an adult. It takes repetition. It takes time. And it takes something that's genuinely hard for people who have spent years prioritizing other people's comfort over their own existence, which is tolerating the uncertainty of not knowing how you came across. If you recognized yourself in this, really recognized yourself, not in a vague, oh, I sometimes say sorry too much way, but in a, this is describing something I've never had words for way, that recognition matters. Most people spend years, sometimes decades, managing the symptom without ever seeing the root. They try to be more confident. They practice assertiveness, and nothing sticks, because they're working at the surface of something that lives much deeper. The apologies are not the problem. They are a message from a younger version of you about what it felt like to exist in the rooms you grew up in. And that younger version deserves something other than frustration. You were not born believing your presence needed justification. That was taught to you. And the things that are taught can, slowly, imperfectly, unevenly, be untaught. You don't have to earn the right to take up space. You were always allowed to be here. The apology was never required.